as a Muslim has now defined ourselves.
In the news, clash between Christians, Muslims as schools reopen in Kwara. Across Africa, Kais Saied visits Libya to support democratic path. On the global scene, Netherlands votes on final day of elections. In business, federal government of Nigeria to recover 69.5 billion naira, $5.31 billion, says Nati. On the entertainment scene, music company G Worldwide makes Nollywood entry. And in sports, Anthony Joshua and Tyson Fury sign 2-fight deal. Details shortly. This is TOS Television, your digital first Pan-African news network. I am Abigail Okwade, and this is TOS News 360. Violence took over the scene at Surulere Baptist School in Ilorin on Wednesday as Christian staff of the school confronted an order by the Kwara state government. The state government asked the 10 mission schools, closed down over hijab issue to resume classes. According to reports, the Muslim girls who resumed for classes in their hijab dress code were stopped by Christian staff of the school, which provoked the girls and their parents on ground. The verbal exchange which followed between the Muslim parents and the Christian staff soon turned into exchange of dangerous objects, including stones, between the two parties. Security operatives who were called in had to use tear gas to disperse the rowdy scene before bringing the situation under control. A bill that seeks to establish an Armed Forces Commission has caused disagreement in the Senate. Chaos started when the Senate Minority Leader, Eyinaya Abaribe of PDP Abia South, presented the lead debate for a bill for the establishment of the Armed Forces Commission 2021 for a second reading. 9 senators spoke in favor of the bill, while 6 were against it during a debate that followed Abaribe's presentation. Lawmakers against the bill argued that it would cause more disunity in the country. The bill was later rejected during a voice vote, and Senator Abaribe called for a division, that is, lawmakers should vote individually. The Senate later went into a closed-door session. After the closed-door session, Senate President Ahmed Lawan said the entire Senate has appealed to the Minority Leader to withdraw Order 73, which called for a division. Senator Abaribe then withdrew the bill to represent it another day after consultation. Princess Catherine Oladuni Odu, chairman of the State Universal Basic Education Board, has appointed secretary to the Ondo State government. She is the first female to be appointed since the state was created. In a statement released by Chief Press Secretary to the governor, Richard Olatunde, he said Princess Odu has served in many capacities. She has served as a federal commissioner, Public Complaints Commission, and at different times, former Commissioner for Women Affairs and Education, respectively. Her appointment was in recognition of her proven integrity and outstanding record of performance in previous assignments. She is to be sworn in by the governor on Monday, March 22, 2021, with other appointees. Now in the north, bandits have reportedly attacked the convoy of Alhaji Zubairu Jibril Megwari II, the emir of Birnin Gwari. The incident was said to have occurred on Tuesday evening along the Kaduna-Birnin Gwari road. Though details of the attacks were scanty, sources said the first-class emir was not in any of the vehicles in the convoy when the bandits struck. Mohammed Jaligay, the spokesman of the Kaduna State Police Command, said he could not immediately confirm the incident, but promised to make his findings and get back. Birnin Gwari is one of the local government areas in the state with rampant cases of banditry and kidnappings. You are watching TOS News 360. Coming up is news across Africa and the international scene. Do stay tuned. Welcome back. Now across Africa, President of Tunisia, Kais Saied, visited Libya days after the new Libyan government of national unity took the oath of office. The visit was the first of its kind since 2012. The visit was to support the democratic path in Libya, which aims to hold national elections in December in a bid to end its decade-long conflict. The long years of conflict have resulted in prolonged border closures that have hit the volume of business, particularly in informal trade in consumer goods, that is an economic mainstay in border areas. The visit also aimed to strengthen cooperation between the two countries and also help develop solidarity for increased stability and prosperity. Now in Zimbabwe, the Zimbabwean government has declared an amnesty for prisoners who have served at least a third of their sentences, except for those convicted of specific offenses such as murder, treason, rape, or any sexual offense, carjacking, robbery, stock theft, and public violence. This was addressed during the post-cabinet briefing on Tuesday. Monica Mutsvangwa, Minister for Information and Broadcasting Services, said the amnesty will help in decongesting the prisons, whose population currently stands at 20,407 against the prison's holding capacity of 17,000. She said the overpopulation already poses a health hazard, especially during the COVID-19 pandemic. Between March and June last year, the Zimbabwean government released more than 4,000 prisoners in a bid to ease overcrowding and stop the spread of COVID-19. Overcrowding in Zimbabwe's 46 prisons remain high. The facilities were initially built to collectively incarcerate 14,000 prisoners. The prisoners are also struggling to feed inmates and provide adequate health care due to poor funding by the government. 10 days after a series of explosions killed more than 100 people, the hospitals in Equatorial Guinea are still overwhelmed by the number of injured people. Aid agencies who are offering to help say some of the affected were not able to seek treatment on time as they did not have a health cover. The chief medic of the mission, Col Noam Fink, said some patients are still in trauma as a result of the attack. Many are also trying to treat their injuries at home. The government has now made healthcare free to allow those with no financial means to come forward and receive care, leading to increase in cases. The High Court in Kenya is to rule on the ban of female genital mutilation for adult women. The case is a response to a petition by Dr. Tatu Kamau in 2017, who believed that the ban in practice was unconstitutional because women had the right to choose what to do with their bodies. He said women should be able to undergo the traditional practice in hospital without the fear of being arrested. Female genital mutilation was outlawed in Kenya in 2017, but the campaigners feared the case may set back their attempts to eradicate the procedure. Now on the global scene, Dutch voters are casting their ballots at thousands of polling stations across the Netherlands on the final day of the Dutch general elections, overshadowed by the global pandemic that could return Prime Minister Mark Rutte to power. Churches, gyms, museums, and halls have been converted to voting centers by authorities looking for venues where people could vote safely amid rising infection rates. Europe's first COVID election of 2021 has taken place over 3 days, with the elderly and at risk voting at selected locations on Monday and Tuesday before the polls opened for everyone else on Wednesday. Caretaker Prime Minister Mark Rutte's Conservative People's Party for Freedom and Democracy has been leading the polls by a wide margin for about a year, but the lead has been shrinking in recent cases. The election is set to be a verdict on Rutte's handling of the pandemic, with opinion polls showing his liberal VVD, People's Party for Freedom and Democracy, on course to lead a fourth successive coalition after already spending a decade in office. Still on the global scene, an Indian Air Force pilot died on Wednesday after his MiG-21 Bison fighter jet crashed in central India. According to a tweet by the IAF, the aircraft crashed during the takeoff as Group Captain A. Gupta was on a combat training mission. IAF added that a court of inquiry has been set up to investigate and determine the cause of the accident. They also expressed their deep condolences and stand firmly with the family members. India has long been criticized for its fleet of outdated MiG-21 Bison aircraft as they experienced major technical malfunctions during training exercises. The disruption of healthcare caused by COVID-19 may have led to an estimated 239,000 maternal and child deaths in South Asia, according to a new UN report. This report found that women, children, and adolescents were the worst hit. South Asia has reported nearly 13 million COVID-19 cases and more than 186,000 deaths so far. Many countries, including those in South Asia, responded to the pandemic with stringent lockdowns, while hospitals, pharmacies, and grocers remained open. Almost everything else is shut down. The report examines the effects of these government strategies on healthcare, social services, including schools, and the economy. It is estimated that there have been 228,000 additional deaths of children under 5 in these 6 countries that include Afghanistan, Nepal, Bangladesh, India, Pakistan, and Sri Lanka, due to crucial services ranging from nutrition benefits to immunization being halted. 8 people, including at least 6 Asian women, have been killed in shootings at 3 different spas in the state of Georgia. The police said the shootings took place at a massage parlor in Ainsworth, a suburb north of Atlanta, and 2 spas in the city itself. South Korea later confirmed that 4 of the victims were of Korean descent. No motive has been established yet, but there were fears that the crimes may have deliberately targeted people of Asian descent. Hate crimes against Asian Americans have spiked in recent months, fueled by rhetorics that blamed them for the spread of COVID-19. A 21-year-old man has been arrested and was believed to be the suspect in all of the attacks. You are watching TOS News 360 on your digital First Pan-African News Network, TOS Television. Up next, business, entertainment, and sports after the break. Welcome back. You are still watching TOS News 360 on your digital First Pan-African News Network, TOS Television. In business, the Nigeria Export Promotion Council, in collaboration with the International Trade Council, World Trade Organization, and She Trades, organized a roundtable discussion on small and medium-sized enterprises and export on Wednesday. The objective of the roundtable discussion is to develop a zero-oil plan for Nigeria and to see a significant increase in participation of women in non-oil exports. Statistics say that 41% of small businesses are run by women in Nigeria, which creates 76% of the job, with just 20% in the formal sector. They also account for nearly 50% of the country's GDP. Sadly, only 7.6% from these businesses export out of exports. This was the reason the Director General of the World Trade Organization visited Nigeria.
Even though our economy is diversified, our source of revenue is not. We still get 60% or more of our revenue from oil, 90% of our exports are oil and gas. So we have to begin to think of the transition of this economy and what space we need. We have to map that out to the world to make this transition. Trade and globalization, whilst it has lifted hundreds of millions out of poverty, has also left some people behind. Even in rich countries, you see what is happening now with populism. Micro, medium, and small enterprises are the backbone of Nigeria's economy. Even though micro, medium, and small enterprises account for 76% of the jobs in the country, they only account for 7.6% of exports. I just want to encourage you and to say that for your entrepreneurial part of your life, the WTO is here to help. And we will try to continue partnering with you and expanding.
The Nigeria Extractive Industry Transparency Initiative on Tuesday vowed to ensure the recovery of 69.5 billion naira and $5.31 billion for the federal government. The Executive Secretary, Neti Obunaya Orji, said this during the inaugural press briefing in Abuja, stressing that the monies were potential recoverable revenues, which Neti under his watch must recover. He said, and I quote, "The current management under my leadership is already evolving policies and strategies that will ensure that the recommendations in our reports are followed through." End of quote. The new Neti boss said the recoverable revenues include payment on oil royalty, gas flare penalties, petroleum profit tax, company income tax, education tax, withholding tax, value-added tax, amongst others. The Central Bank of Nigeria and the Nigerian Communications Commission has announced that the unstructured supplementary service data services for financial transactions will be charged at a flat rate fee of 6.98 naira per transaction starting Tuesday. This is according to a joint statement signed by the head Corporate Communications CBN, Osita Nwasiobi, and the Director of Public Affairs at NCC, Dr. Ikechukwu Adinde. They said the 6.9 naira per financial transaction conducted at deposit money banks and all CBN licensed institutions will replace the current per session billing structure, ensuring a cheaper average cost for customers to enhance financial inclusion. The mobile network operators had threatened to withdraw their USSD services to the deposit money banks due to disagreements concerning the appropriate USSD pricing model for financial transactions, which resulted in a debt of over 42 billion naira. The Pension Transitional Arrangement Directorate, in charge of the administration of pensions of federal retirees under the Defined Benefit Scheme, said it paid 6.2 billion naira arrears to 16,210 pensioners. It disclosed this in a statement on Tuesday, saying this amount included those paid to next of kin of deceased pensioners. PTAD stated that it embarked on an expanded revalidation and recomputation exercise in a bid to clear all pension arrears and resolve all complaints of short payments and outstanding gratuities for the civil service pensioners and their next of kin. According to the Executive Secretary, Dr. Chioma, the project is targeted at reducing the number of complaints received by the Directorate on short payments, qualified pensioners not on payroll, and other outstanding benefits to the pensioners and the next of kin of deceased pensioners. Now to entertainment. Popular entertainment company G Worldwide has made its entry into the Nigerian filmmaking space with the making of a feature film titled Sugar Sugar, scheduled for a March 26 release in cinemas across Nigeria. Sugar Sugar is a romantic comedy centered around the family of a wealthy billionaire whose lust for young girls tears his family apart. Features Taiwo Obileye, Charles Inoje, Ayo Adesonya, Wole Ojo, Gregory Ojefua, Tana Adelona, Vivian Anani, and Christian Paul. The feature is produced by New York Film Academy graduate Louisa Williams, directed by Richard Iboyi, and has Festus Ehimari as the executive director. The film also narrates the story of an intelligent young man who, after failing to get a job with his driving school certificate, decides to disguise and work as a maid in a billionaire's mansion. And to sports, two heavyweight champions, world champions, agreed on terms in principle last year, but has now put pen to paper after contracts were finalized. The first fight is expected to take place in June or July, with Saudi Arabia in pole position to play host, with both fighters set to earn £100 million, and the winner will be crowned the first undisputed heavyweight world champion since Lennox Lewis in 1999, after the WBO agreed to waive Joshua's mandatory responsibilities. Negotiations are still going on over when and where the fight will take place, as many as 8 countries throwing their hats into the ring. Still on sports, CAF President Patrice Motsepe says the African Cup of Nations will be staged every 2 years. Motsepe met the press on Tuesday in Johannesburg, South Africa, for a first speech in his native country since his election. Aware of the imperatives and urgency around African football, Motsepe also specified the organization of more annual meetings with the leaders of the various MAs. Motsepe also stated more meetings will be held this year with all presidents of the CAF member associations, and urgent matters will be discussed. And that is it on TOS News 360. For more updates, visit our website at www.tostvnetwork.com. Do follow and like our social media handles on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. Don't forget to subscribe on YouTube. Do stay with us and enjoy more programs on TOS Television Network. I am Abigail Okwade. Thanks for watching.